On May 21, 2025, two presidents stood before the world's cameras, one defending sovereignty, the other demanding answers. What followed was a 5-hour meeting that went far beyond the press podium. A meeting cloaked in diplomatic silence, strategic tension, and very likely deception. This is the story of what happened behind closed doors, in the room where truth is filtered and power is negotiated. The cameras saw sparks. At the press conference, U.S. President Donald Trump confronted President Ramaphosa with accusations of white farmer killings, property rights abuses, and state-enabled expropriation. Ramaphosa, cool on the outside, dismissed the allegations as misinformed, defending South Africa's constitutional process. But when the doors closed, when the journalists were escorted out, the tone changed. According to both South African and American sources, the private meeting that followed was long, tense, and layered with far more than what the public was allowed to see. Multiple insider accounts, from Times Live to Reuters, suggest that land reform dominated the private session. President Trump didn't hold back. He reportedly presented video clips, edited, curated, and confrontational, that depicted attacks on white farmers and what the U.S. delegation called targeted racial violence. Ramaphosa pushed back, insisting that expropriation was being carried out legally, with compensation in most cases and under court oversight. He framed it as restorative justice, not retribution. But sources say Trump wasn't buying it. "Don't tell me it's about justice when your own investors are pulling out," he allegedly snapped, according to a senior diplomat who spoke off record. This wasn't just posturing, it was leverage. Beneath the land reform debate lurked a larger battlefield: trade. South Africa wants continued access to American markets. Ramaphosa's team reportedly asked for expanded AGOA benefits, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, and proposed a bilateral trade deal. But Trump's message was blunt: no deal without guarantees. Property rights, legal clarity, security. "You fix that, we talk," summarized one U.S. advisor. In return, the U.S. dangled offers energy infrastructure, agricultural partnerships, and private investment in ports and logistics. But only if South Africa played ball. Ramaphosa's delegation appeared caught off guard. They'd come for partnership. What they got was a political ultimatum. Publicly, Ramaphosa described the meeting as warm, respectful, and constructive. However, privately, insiders used different words: cornered, blindsided, damage control. Several diplomats later described the meeting as an Oval Office ambush, echoing past episodes with Trump and other world leaders. Yet, despite the friction, both sides kept talking. Exploratory teams were set up to begin formal discussions on trade, agriculture, and energy. In the diplomatic world, that alone is progress, albeit shaky. But who came out stronger? That depends on whom you ask and whom you believe. An unexpected twist. Ramaphosa invited Trump to the upcoming G20 summit in Johannesburg. Trump's response? We'll see. Depends on how serious you are about fixing your house. Some took this as a veiled threat, others as a diplomatic carrot. Behind that exchange lay deeper tensions. South Africa, as a leading BRICS member, is drifting closer to Russia and China. The U.S. sees this, not without concern. Trump's team reportedly pressed Ramaphosa for assurances neutrality on Ukraine, transparency on Chinese infrastructure deals, and openness to Western defense contracts. But according to regional experts, South Africa offered little more than polite nods. The G20 invite was political theater. Real commitments? Still elusive. Interestingly, entire subjects were avoided. Ukraine, barely mentioned. Israel-Palestine, skipped. Human rights, press freedom, ignored. Analysts believe this wasn't accidental. Too much tension, too little common ground. So instead of widening the conflict, both sides focused narrowly on land, trade, and image control. But there was one area of agreement: optics. Neither side wanted the meeting to appear like a failure. Both had domestic audiences to manage. So the messaging was crafted carefully. Ramaphosa talked of cooperation, Trump of accountability. Both left out the full truth. Will the public ever see what really happened in that 5-hour meeting? Unlikely. Here's how it works. Full transcripts, never released. Audio recordings, classified. Detailed notes, sanitized for public release. All we get are readouts, vague summaries that sound polished but say little. Even the US Congress, when it tries to obtain these records, usually faces redactions. In South Africa, the ruling ANC controls the narrative, and journalists pushing too hard face blacklisting. In effect, we are kept in the dark, while policies that shape our future are decided behind velvet curtains. So what do we actually know? We know Ramaphosa's team tried to turn the meeting into a trade opportunity. We know Trump viewed it as a test of loyalty, stability, and truthfulness. And we know the real discussions were much more heated than anyone admitted publicly. Both sides walked away claiming victory. But the truth is, this was a high-stakes negotiation wrapped in diplomatic theater. And behind the scenes, the fallout is just beginning. In a world of press briefings, photo ops, and polished readouts, real diplomacy happens behind closed doors. And that's where the public, the people most affected, are locked out. What happened between Trump and Ramaphosa that day will shape trade deals, property rights, and international alliances for years to come. But the truth still sits in that room, between two men, two agendas, and no cameras. This has been Behind Closed Doors, the real Trump-Ramaphosa meeting. Don't forget to ask, if we're not in the room, who's speaking for us?